Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Coffee and Chat this morning. Mindy and I are very excited to be here with you. Relive is a nutritional food company, and I tell you what, guys, life-changing products. We got people losing weight. We have got so many incredible things going on with Relive right now. But I've got an incredible story that I really want you guys to hear, and I want to go over to Miss Patty first. Patty, would you come on and share with us what Relive has done for you? You may have to unmute.
If I can be smarter than my phone, I will. Hi, my name's Patty Goss. I live in Springfield, Missouri. This is a cautionary tale. For the last several years, Relive's done so many things for me. My eyes have improved, my speech has improved after I experienced a hemorrhagic stroke 31 years ago. Part of my story had been that when I'd fallen, I hadn't broken anything. I let myself run out of a targeted product, and it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I fell and I fractured 3 ribs a year ago. Needless to say, I got that targeted product. I've been putting it in my shake ever since, and I've had no broken bones. If there's any questions you have, that's great. The first thing that happened to me was for the first time in my life without the use of a laxative, I'm regular. That was huge. That's it.
That is awesome, Patty. Thank you so much for sharing. We always love hearing your story. It is just incredible. Thank you so much. And now I want to go over to Mitch. Mitch, would you come on and share with us just a minute about what Relive's done for you?
I'd love to. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, well, lovely. My dog doesn't bark here in the background. I've been with Relive now for over 20 years, and I was first introduced to Relive after going to the vet, or not the vet, but the VA, and I found out because of all the pain I was having in my knee. What I had found was that my left knee had hardly any cartilage left in it. They said they was going to have to replace it. I was okay with that, so they scheduled it. Luckily, because it was the VA, when they do anything, it takes forever. So it was months down the road, the scheduling was. And my brother had heard about the Relive products through Jim Shaven, and his son was dealing with a bunch of things, and he was doing really well. And he had heard some stories, kind of like what we're listening to tonight, about somebody who avoided a knee replacement. So he put me on the phone with Jim, and then we listened to some stories, and I'm so grateful that we do these story calls, because that's really what made the difference for me. I heard a number of different people and what was going on. I thought to myself, if these products are half as good as what people are saying, I want to take them. So they told me I had to do them exactly like they said and take them on a consistent basis, because that was the key, to take them every day. So I did. The first month, what I noticed is that I felt better. My right knee actually quit hurting, which wasn't hurting very much anyway. My attitude was a whole lot better. And then after 6 months of being on the products, my left knee, the one that was giving me the most trouble, it quit hurting. So I went back out to the VA, and they did x-rays, and they were just astonished. They said, I can't believe this. We've never seen this before. Your cartilage is regrowing, so we're going to cancel the knee replacement. And they did. That's been over 20 years ago. Since then, I have not been sick. In fact, I have only been to a doctor for an annual checkup once in a while. I haven't had any medical issues, no medications. I love these products. I've helped many, many, many people with their health and wellness. I will never do anything but this.
Wow, that is awesome, Mitch. I tell you what, it's really amazing how this Relive works. I mean, we don't have a miracle in a can, but the body's the miracle, and it just so happens there has been something been developed that's so complete and goes to the cellular level. And I tell you, your results have just been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And you know what, guys, I want to share real quickly. I've been on the products, oh my gosh, 33 plus years, I should say. I started when I was 23. I had went to nursing school, became a nurse, and just really got to the point to where I was overworked and underpaid, if anybody can relate to that. And it only took me 3 years to figure out this is not the way I want to be for the rest of my life. I knew one day I'd get married, have kids. I didn't want somebody else raising my kids. I wanted to be able to do that. And I tell you what, I was able to do that. And the first year I made about 60,000. It took 2 years to get to $100,000 a year. And guys, I tell you what, it has allowed me a lifestyle of time freedom, family freedom. I've got 2 kids now. They're 20 and 24. I've never missed one beat throughout their whole life, and I'm still not missing a beat. And I tell you, it's just been amazing. I've been on 90 plus all expense paid trips with a lot of these wonderful people on the phone. And you know what, guys? I didn't come from money. I didn't. And it's been a blessing to be able to bless people with their health. And in return, I'm blessed financially. And that's what Reliv's about. So I tell you what, it's been incredible. But Mindy, I know you've got an amazing lineup as well. And you and I have traveled the world together. We've grown up and Relive together. And I tell you what, it's been awesome. Mindy's one of my very best, dearest friends. And Mindy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And it's been great seeing you grow up in Relive. I think you've been on Relive for 35 years because you got in September. I came in June. So this is my anniversary of my 35th year this month. But it's been so nice to be able to have that, to see you have that freedom and that flexibility to be a mom and to be just travel and just have a great time and bless a lot of people. So thanks for being on. And I just love these stories. I never get tired of them. It's one of the problems with Relive is our products sound like they're too good to be true, and that's why we have these stories, is because you know what, this is the reality of what's happening to people on the Relive products. And when you go out and share them with other people, a business is born. And so if you're interested in making, a couple $100 a month or a couple $1,000 a month, or to become financially free, there's a place for everybody in Relive. So we're going to continue on around the country. We're going to go out to California. And Stan Gray, would you come on the line and unmute and tell us a little bit about what's happened to you with Relive?
Hi, I'm Stan Gray. I got into Relive products about 12 years ago now, 13 years. Yeah, 13 years ago. And I was a walking wreck at that point. And I was one of these kind of people. I did not use medications because they always gave me bad reactions. So I was never using any meds before I got married. And that's come on 58 years. Actually, past 58 years. And knee problems I had from injuries disappeared. I'm kind of going, okay, nothing's like this happened before. This is real. So I dug into the product line a little deeper, and that was right about the time they came out with Lunarich. It was in the now at that point. So I looked that up, and I said, oh, I remember what this stuff is. I remember reading the original research paper on this, written by Dr. Galvez. And I'm going, they've got this. This is good stuff. And then the Lunarich was released as a separate product, and I'm going, okay, I know what I can do with this, because this is going to take care of some problems I've got that straight nutrition can't fix. And one is a diabetic problem, where I've got a problem with my genes that control the sugar receptors on the cells. The genes get turned off. The Lunarich turned them back on. So I am fully functional. I have no blood sugar issues, which is cool. And my general health is great. You figure that, this is June. A couple months ago, I hit the age of 77. And I'm still working on my old car, over, under, around, and through. My old car is 6 years younger than me. So it's not like a modern car. It's an old car where everything's heavy. And I'm crawling all over the thing, making a bunch of changes, which is kind of cool. I'm out working in the yard. I climb up ladders and pick fruit off my apricot tree, which I had at my back window here. Which it was supposed to be a dwarf. It's this big around nowadays. No, it's a little bit bigger. And it takes a It takes a 12-foot ladder to get to the lower branches so I can start picking fruit. Yeah, so that's getting up there. But I'm going up and down ladders, taking my dog out for a walk. Well, actually, haven't done that so much until just recently, but my old dog, French, she finally passed on in February after 14 years.
Hmm.
Um, and I've got a dog right now. It's my granddaughter's dog. I've been taking care of him, but he's going home to them on this coming Sunday. My wife and my daughter are leaving here and driving to Shreveport. So she was supposed, but she's in the military. She was supposed to go overseas, and they couldn't ship the dog. So we went to where she was, just south of Omaha, and we picked up the dog and drove. We flew in, we drove back. And by the way, Wyoming's beautiful along Interstate
Oh,
80.
it's 7 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So here I'm doing all this stuff, and well, like my cup, that's in quotation marks, cup of coffee, it's got Glucofect in it. I still use Glucofect because I like the way it tastes, and it's just that little extra help to keep blood sugars under control. But like I tell people, when it's time for me to go home, I'm going to be holding a can of Now and a bottle of Luna Rich X.
That's awesome. And you talk about the Luna Rich X. I understand that Dr. Galvez has 3 new patents on our Lunacin, which is amazing. That guy is he's so brilliant. Watch out for
Yep.
those ladders, Stan. And it sounds like
Yep.
that apricot tree, some relive, with it's growing that big and that fast.
Yeah, yeah, yep. And actually, when it
Awesome.
comes to Dr. Galvez, I told him how the peptide found its way through the body to go where it needed to go. And he said, I don't think it works that way. And 2 years later, we had a big meeting, and he had charts where he was talking about the peptide following electrical signals, which I told him what it was doing, to put itself in where it needed to get the repair work done. And when he got done, I walked up, shook his hand, and I said, I see you found the peptide following electrical signals. He laughed and he says, if I'd listened to you, I would have saved you 2 years of work.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you
And
for being on today, Stan. I appreciate your
yep.
story. All right, next we're going to go to Teresa Lawson. Teresa, would you come on camera and unmute and share your story?
Well, good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Well, my name's Teresa Lawson. I live an hour south of Chicago on a farm. Been married to my husband, farmer, for 49 years, and we found Relive in March of 2007. So it's been over 18 years. I can't believe it's been that long. When we were introduced to Relive, I had hit the menopause wall, lost my brain, could not focus, organize my thoughts. I was homeschooling my youngest 5 kids. We have 11 children, and I was worried I was going to have to put them in school, and I didn't want to do that. I'd been homeschooling for many years at that point, but I just couldn't even grade papers. I couldn't do a lesson plan. I was just a mess. In addition to that, my husband had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a few years before, and he was on oral medication for that. And we had a 15-year-old daughter who was struggling with anxiety and depression. She didn't want to get her driver's license. She just wanted to stay in her room all day. She didn't want to spend time with friends. We also have a special needs son who at that point was almost 6 years old, and he could only say 3 words. He had severe cognitive delays, lots of upper body muscle weakness, coordination issues. And so I was just like overwhelmed with all these issues of health issues in our family. And I thought we were eating well. We live on a farm, and I raised gardens. We were canning food and eating as well as we could. But in spite of all my efforts, we were still just a mess. So I was introduced to Relive by a good friend who had many children and was a homeschooler. And she told me that her children who had asthma were off their meds in a month taking the product. And I was just amazed because my background's in nursing and I'd never heard of such a thing. So we started the product, and in 2 months, my menopause symptoms were gone. No more hot flashes, no more night sweats. My brain fog lifted. I could organize my thoughts, be a better mom. But it just got better from there. My 15-year-old daughter, who fought me at first about the products, didn't want to take them. Blackmail works really good, by the way, for parents who don't understand how that works. But anyway, bribery and blackmail. I got her to take the products every day for 2 months. And she said to me one day, Mom, my anxiety is about 80% better. Well, fast forward, she just started making the product herself, making her shakes every day, which was awesome. And she had dealt with dyslexia for many years and affected her schoolwork and her self-esteem. Well, now she's 33 years old, and she's a business manager at a private school. And she has a beautiful family. She has 2 children and a husband. And so it's just been amazing. And her children use the product. They drink their chocolate milkies, they call it. They're kids now. The best story in our house was our special needs son, though. I gotta tell you about him, because he went from only saying 3 words to full sentences in about 8 to 10 months on the product. And his fine motor and gross motor coordination skills improved dramatically. He had been on all kinds of vitamins and supplements prior to finding Relive, and nothing helped him like the Relive did. It helped with his focus. And today he is a strapping young farm boy of 24 years old. He is our landscaper. He bought his own push mower, earned his own money, bought his own riding mower. In fact, he's outside cutting grass for us right now as I speak. He's just amazing, blossom young man, and we're so excited for his future. So we will never be without our Relive.
I bet you won't. And you know what? Isn't it nice, Teresa, that Relive is safe enough for your children? I mean, there's people on the Zoom today whose children took this for their prenatal vitamins when they were pregnant, started giving it to their babies as soon as they were born, or got it through their nursing. And then you having it, your young children taking these products. I mean, I love the fact that Relive is safe enough for everybody from the womb to the tomb. But you know what? It kind of fills in the gaps of the food. I mean, you're a farmer and you were trying to eat right, but you know what? This just fills in the gaps. And I know for my grandchildren, they are not great eaters. And I tell you, I'm so glad that they're getting what they need in the Relive shake, because that is so important for the future of their lives. So thank you so much for being on today, Teresa. Appreciate your story.
Thank you
And
for inviting.
last but certainly not least, I love Carla Ann's story. Carla is from Canada, and she's has a beautiful setting with a beautiful, I guess is it a lake or a
remote lake.
A remote lake
Mhm.
behind her. But Carla, would you come on and share how Relive has blessed your life?
Oh, thank you. It's my privilege to share our family story here. It's always hard to put it in a nutshell because so much has happened over the last 15 years, and we're just so grateful. But my story is, I like to think about the way that I've built my toolbox over the last 15 years, and how important that is to keep your tools handy and ready to use. So when Relive was when I was introduced to Relive as a homeschool mom, like Teresa, I was homeschooling my kids, but some other things had happened. I'd lost a baby daughter. My dad had passed away, and then my husband had a diagnosis. I'll tell you a little bit about his later in 2002. And by 2010, I was a mess, distressed, and had taken a real toll. So I suffered with fibromyalgia and IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. I also had a carpal tunnel in both of my hands, and I was told I needed surgery right away on my right hand. And I was the worship leader at church, and it was just very, very difficult. And then the other big thing was I was bleeding very badly, and I was 53, and I wasn't even showing any signs of premenopause. And I didn't like the options that they gave me when I went to Winnipeg to a gynecologist. None of them really, I didn't like any of the options. So when I was introduced, I was very, very depressed by that time because I'd been sick for 8 years. And, I just couldn't put my brain around the fact that I could actually get help because I'd just been living at the clinic and I had been on so many different medications. which like I think it was Stan mentioned, I had adverse reactions or no reaction to them at all, or just like no help at all from them. Taking tons of different vitamins and trying to figure out what they were doing for me, which didn't feel like they were doing anything for me at the time. And so I was kind of a hard case. I was just talking to my upline yesterday and I said, I'm sorry, I was so hard to convince. But you know, once I learned how to be teachable, faithful, and really consistent with my shakes, which took me about 3 months to learn that. At 6 months, all those things were just melting away from my life. And this picture behind me, this is a very important picture to me because that summer after I had started in January, I got in the boat to go out to our camp. And my kids said, Mom, you got to sit back here in the soft seats because with the way you hurt all the time. I sat up there cross-legged in the very front of the boat, taking the bumps, and I had no pain, no fibromyalgia pain. And I used to cry in the car and have to lift myself up off the seat when we went over bumps. So I was just so very, very thankful. And because of that, that's when my toolbox started filling up with all these different products. I did start a targeted solution about a year into it to target my hormone issues where I was bleeding so bad. And within about 2-3 months, I was just done. I didn't go through menopause in a way. I just was done. Didn't have to suffer with, hot flashes and all that. And again, so very thankful. Because of that, my husband saw that and said, what will this do for me? Medication had brought him from a heart function of between 15 and 20 up to the low 40s. But he's a truck driver and he had to have at least 35 to be a truck driver. When he got on Relive with the help of our support team, which is so important, he got up to a normal. And not only that, but his enlarged heart in time came back to normal size. And we were so thankful for that. For 20 years, he just was doing fantastic. Because of that, my girls used it for prenatal, especially for labor and delivery. Some of my grandkids have been on it. I have 8 with a number 9 coming along here soon in September. But the toolbox was so important because not only did my mom get great results because she heard the stories and she had great quality of life in her late years with degenerative disc disease, was able to travel up from Indiana all the way up here to see her great grandbabies. But in 2022, my husband had another bout of heart failure the same week that my daughter, my oldest daughter of our 8 children, had been diagnosed with 4th stage lung cancer. And our toolbox was ready. And so when we were sent to Thunder Bay, I lived beside her for 2.5 months and I handed her a shake about every 2 to 3 hours with 5 Lunar Rich capsules opened up in those shakes. And they came in the second day we were there. They talked about end of life. That's what they did with my daughter. She was 38, had an 8-month-old baby and 2 other small children. Do you know what? That wasn't the story and we weren't going to accept it. We said, we don't accept that report. This is a room of hope. And the doctors, they listened and they soon came into our room with smiles on their faces. But to this date, it's been 2 years now. We've almost hit the 2-year mark. And Renee is at home with her family. All the cancer cells are dead. She does have masses of dead cells in her body. She had 7 tumors, and the masses aren't all gone, but we just praise God for that. In the meantime, my husband had this bout. My daughter's at home. We're looking after him. He did get a device put in, and his story, it was hard. But people said, so I guess your Relive isn't working, Mike. And he said, I'm here. My Relive is working. Because his heart function had gotten down to 14% before we flew to Toronto, and he had a CRT put in. And you know what? Every day he's getting better. We were just in Thunder Bay the last 2 days. We got home last night. And, he's not popping back like he did when he was 20 years younger. But we are so extremely thankful for the lives of 2 families that are here. And you know, if that wasn't enough, like that's great, a great story, right? But that's only a tip of the iceberg compared to the lives of people that I've been able to touch. Because how can I not tell people that I love and care about? And I'm so thankful that I didn't want a business. I was a homeschool mom. But because of the way that it's touched our lives, it is now touching lives all over. And I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, I'm just a
Thank
thankful person. Thank you, God, for
I
the
bet
years.
you are, Carla. Oh my goodness, what incredible stories. You know, and I think about, you know, the stories that you just said. First of all, I can't even imagine going through what you've gone through. But I think the biggest skeptics in Relive become the best distributors because the product works on everybody, you know, and all we do is put a leash on that product and follow it around, and it takes us to the most amazing people and amazing places. And I can't imagine how grateful you are to the person that brought Relive into your life. But oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing today. You could probably do a whole training on what's happened to you with Relive. So thank you for being on today. Thanks all of you for sharing today. What fantastic stories. Want to make sure you understand that we don't make medical claims to cure or heal anything, but your bodies are the miracles. And when we put Relive in our bodies are able to work the way that God intended for them to. We also don't make income claims. If you put in a little, you get out a little. You put in a lot, you get out a lot. But you know what? You get paid today off of work that you start. So, we're getting paid today off of work that we started like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and 30 years ago. And I think about Carla, who's been on Relive for 18 years, and Michelle, who's been on it for 35 years. I've been on it for 35 years. When was the last time that you found a product that once you got on, you're like, I'm going to be on this product for the rest of my life? Well, that's how people feel with Relive, because you know what? It changes your life and it saves you. It becomes part of your toolbox. Like you said, Carla, so beautifully said, you know, to be able to turn to Relive products instead of drugs and medication. So thank y'all for being on. We want to remind you at the end that we have the Relive Connect tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern time. Miss Lyra Hobbs is going to be hosting the Zoom. And she's got a really special lineup of people to bless you with. I think we're going to be doing some like a medical panel, which will be great because you know what, I love it when nurses and doctors and people like that are so excited and are very open to the Relive products, because not all of them are. So you're going to love hearing these stories. So thank you all for being on today. Here's my cup for you today. You're the best. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mindy.
Bye, guys.